Hi everyone, Mike White here. Welcome to this week's vlog post. Again, we've got to report back from the street how, the plans that we put in place in July and August and been working, and the things that we've added into the plan for the beginning of September, especially the results that we're getting from the accountant phone calls and having those conversations has been pretty remarkable. And it just goes to show that a simple phone call and a conversation with direction and purpose that creates value and opportunity for that accountant and that accountant's clients is more than welcome, in a time where they're not pressured and they're not rushed to do what they need to do. And that's exactly what this time is, they're reaching out to their clients that file tax extensions. It's not all of them. It's not a lot of chasing. It's a group of clients that they have to go out and get in front of and chase down that documentation so that they can file those tax returns, in October. And they realize the power and the importance of having the conversation, asking if they're thinking about buying or selling a house, in the next couple of years, because we are filing in October. We can file again in February, and we can get those 2 years of returns. I got a situation right now where I have a client and they were thinking about going with a particular type of loan product. And, it was very expensive and, not exactly what they had in mind. But they hadn't filed, their taxes, and they didn't file the year before and they owed the taxes. And it was pretty simple. If you made the money and you file your tax returns now, you can file again in February. You can buy your next house in March, and that can be a plan, because your options now are severely limited as to what you can do and how much of your money it's going to tie up to do that, and what those terms are going to look like, and then having to refinance down the road. The opportunity may very well be to speak to your accountant and file those taxes in October and file again in February. You've got your 2 years worth of tax returns that are in there, and then you can go out there and qualify for the loan that you want, and you can be done. It's also very rewarding to see the power of this year's back to school conversations, the back to school conversations that we started. Remember, we talked about this the end of July going into August, for those of you who started school back the first week of August, right up until now, where we're getting a lot of people who are, just going to school this week, or this week was their first week back. And so now we've just about got everybody back in school, and we've talked about, and we had the conversation between us and then hopefully you with your agents and your database about functional obsolescence of the property, how the house doesn't work for you in these circumstances the way it used to, and how important it is to understand that you're not exactly limited into what your options are, and getting what you want and what that would cost. And I see that the work and the things that you guys have shared on social media, the videos that you've done, explaining those things, explaining the monthly value of that extra bedroom, that extra bathroom, that different location, that home office, comparing when is a 7% mortgage better than a 3% mortgage, and looking at, selling the house and buying the next one and getting rid of all the debt in between, so that the total monthly payments are close to, possibly even less than, what the old combined payments were. And so we've got rid of that other outstanding debt, and we've got the house we want with all the benefits and all the things that are necessary for our families. And people make those value judgments on a monthly basis all the time. They make choices, financial decisions based upon their own cash flow, their own comfort levels with money, and what their needs truly are. And I've seen it. Some people are perfectly happy to get rid of a car with a $800,000, $900,000 or more month payment, and then get a car with a $200 or $300 or $400 a month payment so that they can afford, the extra 75, 100,000, whatever dollars in mortgage payment that they're going to take on to get the house that really suits their needs. And they do that. They still have a vehicle that gets them where they need to go and does the things they need to do, but they have the house that functions for them and their family. And I'm really, really impressed with how many of you who, didn't sit around and complain that nobody's buying houses, there's no inventory, rates are too high, blah, 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 blah. You went out there, you rolled up your sleeves, you did the work, you had the conversations, you're getting the opportunities, and you're closing deals. And that's really what this is about. Now, we're in September. Next week is going to be the next Fed meeting. Oil prices have become an issue and may continue to become an issue. And obviously, if the Fed chooses to put all its eggs in one basket when it comes to oil prices and that impact, or is it going to look at all the data and all the different trends and what this stuff really means? And again, just because they haven't done it in the past doesn't mean they won't do it in the future. But the big deal is going to come, the Fed meeting this time. I really don't think, unless they say something dramatic on either side of the coin, my expectation is that they're not going to raise rates. They're going to sit where they are. They're going to pause, whatever it is. And some of this may be the language they use when they talk about what they did and what the meeting looked like. Because again, is this a pause? And they're still, we're going to raise rates later if whatever, or we see things that may raise rates, or are they going to say we're stopping? We're at the peak. We're not raising rates anymore, and we're going to ride it out. We're going to let all the other rate hikes matriculate through the system and see where that gets us, and we'll revisit it, January, February, March, April next year and see where we are. But we believe we've done what we've needed to do, and the effect of that will take hold, especially going into the winter. Those will have different impacts on what the interest rate market does. Clearly, the interest rate market needs to see and be convinced that the Fed has stopped hiking rates, and that they have to believe that the next move, when a move is made, is going to be lower, regardless of when that is. If the conversation's about when they're going to lower rates next and how far down, that will be a completely different thought process than we're pausing and we're going to still raise and whatever. Because again, uncertainty is the worst thing. And right now, oil prices is the big pressure. And we've gotten pretty used to what the economy looks like when oil gets to, 80, 90, $100+ a barrel. So at least we understand how that impacts the market better. And hopefully the Fed takes that into consideration in their views. But until then, there's really nothing that we can do other than to keep doing the task, keep using the tools, sharing the strategies, because it is working for those people who are working the plan. If you have questions or comments, as always, it's Mike at imtcoaching.com. We'll talk to you again next week. Take care.